There is a paradox buried in the way we think about power. For centuries, we've measured influence by how well we can bend others to our will, through force, fear, or reward. But the deepest kind of power doesn't come from control. It comes from understanding. Control is brittle. It depends on constant pressure. The moment that pressure disappears, people return not to what you wanted, but to what they wanted all along. Understanding works differently. When you truly understand someone, their fears, their values, their inner logic, you no longer need force. You meet them where they already are. You speak a language they recognize. Think of a parent guiding a stubborn child. One way is command and consequence, rules, escalation, compliance. It can work, but it's exhausting. Obedience gained through fear is shallow. It creates resentment, not understanding. The behavior changes, but the belief never does. The slower approach begins with observation, listening, learning what someone cares about, and aligning guidance with what already motivates them. This isn't manipulation. Manipulation uses understanding to serve only the self. True understanding respects the other person's humanity and creates space for both sides to grow. History is full of leaders who confused fear with loyalty. They believed surveillance and punishment would secure devotion. It didn't. Organizations made the same mistake, reducing people to metrics, optimizing behavior without understanding motivation. On the surface, it worked. But beneath that surface, trust eroded. Creativity collapsed. Relationships became transactional, then adversarial. The leaders who endure understood people deeply. Their influence didn't require constant enforcement. It sustained itself. Lasting change doesn't come from pressure. It comes from conviction. And conviction can only grow when people feel understood and safe enough to change. Compare two managers. One threatens consequences. The other connects the task to what the person values. Both may get results, but only one builds loyalty. One creates compliance, the other creates commitment. People give their best not out of fear, but belief. Without understanding, we project ourselves onto others. We assume they think like us. We design systems that would motivate us and wonder why they fail. People aren't monolithic. What drives one repels another. What feels like freedom to you may feel like chaos to someone else. To understand someone is to accept the complexity of their inner world, to resist turning them into a label or role. When you see people clearly, you stop wasting energy, you stop forcing what doesn't fit, and start working with what does. Understanding requires humility. You must be open to being wrong, about them, about yourself, about what comes next. This humility isn't weakness, it's strategic, because certainty blinds, understanding sharpens. When people feel understood, defenses fall, trust grows, influence becomes natural, not forced.
In relationships, this is undeniable. You can demand change, or you can seek to understand what's driving the behavior beneath it. What fear lives under the anger? What wound fuels the defensiveness? What need remains unmet? These questions shift everything, from power struggle to partnership, from opposition to collaboration. Understanding doesn't erase boundaries. Sometimes consequences matter. Sometimes systems need enforcement. But when power is grounded in understanding, it changes shape. It becomes firm without cruelty, decisive without dismissal. Do you want short-term control or long-term influence? compliance or commitment, fear or trust. Understanding takes time, listening more than speaking, observing more than reacting. But it's the path to lasting power, because when you truly understand people, you don't need to control them. They follow because they choose to, and that kind of influence doesn't end when you leave the room. It echoes long after you're gone. Understanding people changes the way you see power. It replaces force with clarity, control with connection. If this resonated, subscribe to The Human Script for more psychology-based stories about human behavior, emotional intelligence, and the unseen forces shaping our lives. Because when you understand the mind, you don't just influence the world, you understand it.